Welcome to the Miami Marine Stadium, and what better place to kick off the opening round of the 2018 P1 SuperStock USA Championship. An iconic venue from the world of powerboat racing, from when it opened in 1963 all the way to when it sadly closed in 1992, thanks to the efforts of Hurricane Andrew. Now plans are underway to restore this historic landmark, and P1 SuperStock USA, presented by Mercury Racing, have arrived to get the racing show back on the road. After 15 years and some 500 races in 18 countries, P1 is launching its 8th season here in the USA. And if 2017 was anything to go by, well, this season could be the closest yet.
These guys, they told us all year, you got to stay consistent. We listen. Thank you, guys.
We have a side-by-side battle right now. They slightly come together right there. Yes, they do bump. Frankenau's Pizza, Frankenau out front. Oh, Geico gets the boot up on its side. Frankenau takes number 1.
Well, Frankenau's may have taken the top spot last season, but this year sees the arrival of new engines, new hulls and new teams to challenge the field. So what was it that attracted rookies GoToSteves.com to P1?
We are really excited about this. I'm happy to be a part of this sport. I've watched it over the last couple of years, and like I said, man, now we're out here doing it. I'm a restaurant guy. I'm sitting on the couch, and here's this guy from Frankenau's, Pizza, and he's out there doing it. And I said, why can't we? We love boating. I've been in boats my whole life. Love being on the water. So if I could take work and water and put them together, we're here to have fun.
Well, best of luck to GoToSteves, but I can tell you this much, they're going to have their work cut out if they're going to put in a serious challenge to Frankenau's, who after just one rookie season in 2016, won the championship last year by the closest of margins. Let's see what they're saying ahead of what hopefully will be back-to-back season wins for them.
I don't know if we have a target, but I have a lot of new guys coming over to ask questions, so that's different for me, and it's nice that they're doing that, and I'm here. I'm more than eager to help them out.
One team who are new this year, who caught sight of you guys on television, saw the Frankenau's Pizza Boat on TV, they thought, wait a minute, we can take these guys on, GoToSteves.com. They're in a similar industry to you, but are they going to be a challenge for you this year?
I just met the guys today, and they look serious. They look like they're ready to race. But that's the great thing about the sport. You can see us on TV, and hey, maybe I can race you guys next year.
Well, one familiar name to P1 Superstock is Lee Baker, and he's driving this year, sat alongside Jamie Cantor in the Visit St. Petersburg Clearwater boat.
Definitely got to be afraid of Frankenau because they won. So, but I've raced against those guys for 3 or 4 years, so obviously they're getting faster and better. So if they're the #1 team, like we said a couple of years ago, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's them.
Well, it's not just the teams that are all changed this year, because every boat racing in the 2018 SuperStock USA Championship now has a new carbon fibre hull sitting alongside that relatively new Mercury race engine. And the man who is responsible for the work on those carbon fibre hulls, part of the Wilson powerboat racing dynasty, it's fair to say, Craig, is stood alongside me now. Craig Wilson, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
You've been kept really busy over the winter because you've been doing a lot of work on these boats. Talk to me about these carbon fibre hulls.
Well, P1 came to us and said, look, we've got problems with our hulls. They're starting to delaminate, they're starting to get old.
Yep.
And I said, well, we have a new process. It's an infusion process, and we can build them for you.
Yeah.
So what we did is put a carbon fiber layer down first, infuse the rest into it with our lightweight foam that we have. One, the carbon fiber, the guys can't touch it, so it's a stock class. So if they go to touch it to try and cheat and change it, I'll know immediately, everybody will know.
Yeah.
And 2, it's lighter, it'll give it more performance. So paired with the Mercury and with the old decks, they'll be a fast boat.
Phenomenal. So we've got a saving on weight there, and now, of course, from days of old of P1 Superstock, we're now with the Mercury 300 horsepower engine. So we're going to see faster boats. What sort of speeds are we going to see?
I mean, we've dropped about 600 pounds of weight just from changing the hull. So we're about 10% faster. So the boats are running right at 75, 76 miles an hour now, depending on the driver, obviously, out there. But It's really a good combination. So they're a good fun, it's like racing a go-kart now. So if you can get one of these around the race course fast, then you are good.
Fantastic, Craig. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you very much.
And from one powerboat racing expert to another as we go and join Martin Sanborn now as he takes a look at the racecourse.
Thanks, Kevin. Let's take a look at this historic racecourse here in Biscayne Bay on Virginia Key, just over the Rickenbacker Causeway. It'll be a counterclockwise course, 1.65 miles in length. As they start on the back straightaway along the mangroves, they'll go into turns 1, 2, and 3, heading into a right-hand dogleg at turn 4, crossing the start-finish line into turns 4, 5, and 6, and then back onto a long straightaway facing into the beautiful Miami skyline.
In 2017, the championship had to be decided on distance raced and laps completed after the top 2 teams finished equal on points. So this year, every lap and every point is going to count. 20 points for first place then, 17 for second, 15 for third, and then all the way down to 10 points for an 8th place finish. Right now though, the teams are heading out for the start of race 1 here for round 1. So let's go and join the voice of powerboat racing, Mr. Martin Sanborn.
Thank you, Kevin. The boats are on the race course, as you can see on the front straightaway, just going past that right-hand dogleg. These guys need to get a little bit of seat time to get used to the new performance of the hulls. While the physics of the boat haven't changed at all, they did lose 600 pounds, as Craig mentioned. They are very nimble and very fast now with these Mercury 300 XS Optimax engines. The conditions are fairly calm, fairly typical what you would expect in a stadium environment where it's very well protected from the wind as the boats are out on their testing session. Uh-oh, what happened here? The number 21 Rapid Builders with Mike and Zane Salber goes upside down during testing.
Unfortunately, out in practice, we had a little incident. We were coming around a curve and we kind of caught a rogue wave. We hit that wave and the boat came around and it rolled over. My son was in the boat as well with me, which really makes it hard on me because you know, I care so much about him. But we were both okay. I got a couple bruises coming out of the boat. Everything was good. The boat's fired now, so it's going to be good for the next race.
The Performance Boat Center team getting that boat running, so we know the engine will be good for the next race as the teams are on the back straightaway getting ready for the start. Oh, they're going to let them go from a dead stop. The green flag is up as the teams weren't ready for it, and they go racing. Geico out to an early lead. Frankenhouse Pizza Racing in second place. On the outside of them is Team Gallagher as they make their way along the mangroves towards turn 1. So Geico gets the whole shot. Frankenhouse Pizza Racing in the middle. Gallagher trying to squeeze in from the outside, but Visit Jacksonville trying to make a move coming up from the outside from behind. Geico's going to be the first one to the pin. They go a little bit deep. Frankenhouse Pizza pushes Gallagher way wide, but diving to the inside is Visit Jacksonville. Let's see if they can hold some speed. They now move themselves into second place as Frankenhouse Pizza is way to the outside. And they pushed Gallagher even wider as Geico now makes their way to the right-hand dogleg. Geico out front. Second place on the extreme inside of the race course is Visit Jacksonville. Coming back to the inside, trying to come right up along that wake of Geico is Frankenhouse Pizza Racing. Visit Jacksonville goes through the rooster tail of Geico, goes right across the front of Frankenhouse Pizza Racing. But Geico will be the first team to the left-hand turn at the inside of the race course. Here's the view from Frankenhouse Pizza Racing. As now you see Visit Jacksonville on the inside, but Frankenhouse Pizza Racing has a good line coming up towards turns 5, 6, and 7. And they now take the inside lane, seeing if they can pull the same move that Visit Jacksonville did, and they now pull up side by side with Geico. Frankenhouse Pizza Racing on the inside. They now are just ahead of Geico on the outside. And Visit Jacksonville got pushed way deep into the turn, and Frankenhouse Pizza now moves into the lead. Frank Silva and Chris Mejias, the number 555, they are the defending champions from the 2017 P1 Championship Series. As Geico and Frankenhouse Pizza are side by side down the back straightaway along the mangroves, Frankenhouse Pizza racing on the inside, and there you saw Tony Knight of Miss Geico looking over his shoulder to see where Visit Jacksonville is. Frankenhouse Pizza Racing carving a great turn. Geico riding right on their wake. You see them taking the spray. as he hooks over the wave, stuck the nose a little bit. Nice recovery by Team Geico. So now out front is number 555 Frankenhouse Pizza Racing as they make their way towards the right-hand dogleg and the start-finish line. Geico's now side by side with Visit Jacksonville. George Ivey and Brian Lynch in the Visit Jacksonville boat. Brian Main and Tony Knight in Miss Geico. Visit Jacksonville on the outside as we go on board with Team Geico as they make their way around turn 5, 6, and 7. Frankenhouse Pizza out front. Geico, you see them carving right over the top of that wake. Visit Jacksonville on the outside. It's really hard to tell, but there is some wind. As I mentioned, that's the nice thing about a stadium, is it does knock down the wind and protect the water. Here in the historic Miami Marine Stadium, as you see the teams heading towards that beautiful downtown Miami skyline. Geico about 5 boat lengths ahead of Visit Jacksonville right now as you see them heading into turns 1, 2, and 3. You see Brian Main picking that inside line, kind of riding on the wake. You can carry a little bit more speed when you do that, but it is risky. If you fall off the top of that wake, it unsettles the boat and tries to make it pitch to the outside, which is what happened to the number 21 boat during testing. As Visit Jacksonville dropping back a little bit more as Miss Geico makes her way around the turn. Now we go on board number 35, Visit St. Pete Clearwater. Lee Baker and Jamie Cantor. But you can see the leader, Frankenhouse Pizza Racing, way out front. Are they going to run away with this? They're picking up right where they left off from the 2017 season. Well, we'll find out right after we come back from the break here in the Miami Marine Stadium for the P1 SuperStock Championship Series. Welcome back to the P1 SuperStock Championship Series here in Miami at the Miami Marine Stadium. Frankenhouse Pizza Racing continues to hold on to their lead with Geico in second place and Visit Jacksonville in third. Visit St. Pete Clearwater making their way around turn 1, 2, and 3 with Go-To Steve's on the inside. Go-To Steve spins out. He went over the wake, stuck the nose, and the back end came around. Every team has to figure out where that line is, and GoToSteves.com just did. That is one thing about powerboat racing. The course is different every single time you go around, and every team has to find that line. Let's take a look at it from another angle. Here you see them out just a little bit ahead. He bobbles, sticks the nose, and spins the boat out. Nice recovery. He's right back up in business, but that cost him some position. On the back straightaway, well out in the lead right now, Frankenhouse Pizza Racing with Frank and Chris. The defending 2017 P1 SuperStock champions. Had a chance to talk to Frank before the race. He was talking about how differently the boats run. While the physics on the boat did not change at all, they still come out of the exact same molds they came out of before, with the extra 600 pounds gone. And they're a little bit stiffer with the carbon. They are actually a little bit more nimble, ride a little bit higher in the water, so the teams had to figure out how to best get around the corner. And again, the nice thing is these Mercury 300 XS Optimax engines have that nice racing lower unit, which gives them a lot of traction and directional stability going around the turns. The P1 Superstock Series is a one design class, as Craig mentioned. The nice thing about the carbon is it's impossible for guys to reshape the bottom of the boat without being able to see it. As we look backwards on Team Geico, currently running in second place, as you see them taking a nice clean line on the inside of the race course at turns 5, 6, and 7. All these boats are 28 feet in length, about 7.5 feet wide, designed specifically to fit inside of a shipping container. As you see Frank and Al's, you see how high that boat rides. Just riding right up on the pad section of the keel as they lay into that turn. Geico now running right in the center of the wake, not riding on the bump on either side. As Visit Jacksonville digs it just a little bit harder, trying to hold that line as they were carrying a little bit more speed into the turn as they were going through turns 1, 2, and 3, heading back towards that dogleg and the start-finish line. In this aerial view, you can kind of see what the course looks like, again with that gorgeous Miami skyline in the background. And here's what it looks like when you're the leader out front. You get to pick your line. Don't have to worry about wakes created by other boats. Just pick a nice clean line, get around the race course nice and fast. It's always the cleanest water. As Frank and Al's Pizza Racing continues to lead. Once they got past Geico, they never looked back. Frank and Al's Pizza on the back straightaway along the mangroves, heading towards turns 1, 2, and 3. You see how these boats carve a turn. They are a step bottom boat. The nice thing about the change in the hulls is not only did we lose the weight, but all the minimum weights came down on the boat. So now the boats are actually going to meet their minimum weight whether they have fuel in them or not. So the teams are finding that actually the boats are pretty quick with fuel in them because it's so low in the bottom of the boat. As we look at Team Gallagher, this is one of our veteran teams. They've been racing with us since the beginning of the season. Jason Morton and Michael Whipple. They are out of Wilmington, North Carolina. As we now look at the number 24, go to steves.com. Steve Westpaul and Eric Johnson out of the St. Pete Clearwater area. Had a chance to spend some time with them in the water in Tampa Bay, getting them used to the new boat. Steve really adapted well. Had a natural feel for the boat. That orange stripe on the back of the motor is to let the other teams know that that is a rookie team. As we go on board Visit St. Pete Clearwater, the number 35 boat with Lee Baker and Jamie Cantor. And the white flag is out. We are on the final lap here at the Miami Marine Stadium, and out front is the number 555 Frank and Chris in Frank and Al's Pizza Racing. As they make their way around the final turns, that right-hand dogleg is in sight, the start-finish line right behind it. And Frank and Al's Pizza Racing is going to cruise to their first win of the 2018 season. Exactly what they wanted to do after winning the championship in 2017. And here they come to that right-hand dogleg. Nice clean run for Frank Silva. Frank Hi-Ho Silva used to race also in the Professional Jet Ski Series. As they cross the start-finish line, they will take the win in the first race of the 2018 season here in Miami at the Miami Marine Stadium. That's Frank Silva and Chris Mejias. They are the first team to take a checkered flag in the Miami Marine Stadium for 26 years. As we see the Visit Jacksonville team come across the start-finish line, and there's that checkered flag for your winners, Frank and Al's Pizza. Let's take a look at our official results after the race here in Miami. Frankenel's Pizza takes the win, followed by Geico in second, then Visit Jacksonville, Gallagher, Go-To Skis, and Visit St. Pete Clearwater.
It was pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting it to be that crazy. I mean, it was nice we were out in front most of the time, so it kind of cleared up the waters a little bit, but it was crazier than I expected, that's for sure.
And your navigator's job this weekend was not so much telling Frank where to go, probably was counting laps and making sure you'd done enough.
Yeah, it was counting laps, and I was making sure, I mean, Geico was right on us the whole time. You know, I had to like make sure he wasn't trying to sneak in anywhere, or George too, like we had to keep an eye out for them.
So Frank, fantastic start to the season for you, starting where you left off with a win. You obviously are enjoying that boat once again.
Yeah, it's the boat's definitely driving a little different this year, but hey, we're glad to be on top. You know, it was a long day. We didn't get all the races we wanted to get in today, but hey, we finished first, so I'm happy.
What is it like driving the new boat? We've got a carbon fiber hull sitting alongside the Mercury 300 XS now. It's lighter. Is it quicker?
It's definitely quicker, but it's a different riding boat. If you're not ready, it will pitch you, as you saw today in practice.
And what about the guys in Geico? They were chasing you down, and are we going to see for the rest of the season Frankenel's versus Geico?
You know what? I think that's going to be it. You know, and then let's not forget George. George is an awesome driver.
So George, first weekend, and you got yourself on the podium. Not the top step, but pleased all in all?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we would have liked to have been a little higher up, but you know, first time around, we're happy where we are. It's a name of consistency. So you know, we'll see how we end up.
And when I spoke to Frank earlier, I said, "Are you going to be battling out with you and Geico?" And he actually said, "Yeah, me, Geico, and let's not forget George. Those guys are going to be running from the front." Is it your three teams that we're going to see on these steps all season?
I don't know for sure. It kind of felt like it after today, but you know, every team out there has a chance, and that's what this series is all about.
Yeah, it's going to take some time, you know, and unfortunately we didn't get the time that we really needed to get a good feel for them, but, you know, the amount of track time that we got today, you're starting to kind of get a feel on, you know, maybe some things that we could do different for the next race, make it a little faster.
And you're excited to race against Frank Silver in the next one. I'm sensing that you guys are going to be duking it out throughout the season.
Yeah, he's got a mark on his back.
So sadly, that's it. Our first weekend of racing comes to a close, but congratulations to Frankenel's opening their points account in 2018, taking the win. And how good has it been to hear the roar of powerboat racing engines once again from the iconic Miami Marine Stadium. Until next time, when we'll be in Kissimmee St. Cloud, from all of us here, see ya.
Just we had a little incident.
These are all my new fans that we met here in Miami. So we're having a great time, and the people down here in Miami love it. So thanks for having us, Miami.